All right, Coach. You opened up a 2-week homestand this past weekend, hosting Texas A&M International, who you saw for the third time in about a month, and then of course Texas A&M-Kingsville gets international. Came out with 2 run rule victories, only allowing one run period throughout that doubleheader, and then a little bit tighter matches with the Javelinas. Talk to me just about your thoughts from the weekend.
Well, just really happy to be able to get all 4 wins and be glad to be back at home. Of course, great crowd, especially on Sunday. But we came out against International and just played really well. I think we scored 3 in the first inning of game 1. Kind of jumped on them early and just continued to put pressure on them. And the Goat kid's a pretty good pitcher, but we did a good job with her. We did see her earlier in the month and had a good performance against her then and repeated that. So, it was really good. We played really sharp softball on Friday. Our pitchers were sharp. Like I said, we just put a lot of pressure on them the whole day and ended up with 2 run rules. And, that's nice when you can get your team off the field when you got, another doubleheader coming up in a couple of days. So we were able to get rest and weren't fatigued going into Sunday. And we knew that Kingsville was going to bring it and compete hard and play well. They've been playing really good lately. They started the season with a struggle, but have been playing a lot better softball here lately. And they played really well yesterday. So it was good to be able to get both of those wins.
You talk about all the contributions you had from pitching as well as your lineup. Just what's clicking with this team right now on both sides of the ball, and where do you still see the most room for improvement?
Well, defensively we can still get better, but offensively, man, it's just it's a lot of fun to coach this group. Like I've said all year, top to bottom has been really good. We were without Lauren Foyge this week. She had an illness all week, so she was out, and Bree Waters got the start in game 1, and then Penelope Hurtado got the start in game 2 and went out and went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. So she got both starts yesterday, and having that depth on the bench is vital for us. And the pitching depth showed up yesterday. We used 4 pitchers or 5 pitchers yesterday, 4 pitchers I guess, and Taylor Haywood came in and closed it out, and she was really sharp yesterday. And she's our starting second baseman. We don't use her a whole lot in the circle, even though we know she's capable. But she came in a big situation yesterday, 6-5 game in the 6th. They had 2 runners on, kept the lead for us, and then was just pinpoint in the 7th inning. And that's nice when your second baseman can come in and be your closer as well.
And your team's 8-0, only unbeaten team in conference through the first 4 series of conference play. So it's still very early. There's a lot of season left, but early on, what gives you confidence that this is the team to beat?
Well, I mean, we're one of the teams to beat. That's for sure. I just feel like our depth. We have speed, we have power. We have, for average, we're leading the conference, I think, or second in the conference in average behind West Texas. Leading the conference in ERA right now as a pitching staff. We've got Abby Brand behind the plate, who's going to shut down a lot of running games. Now, yesterday, they did get some stolen bases on us, but for the most part, we're going to have to pick and choose when to run against her. We just got to get a little bit better defensively. We're thinking a little bit too much in the field and on where to go with the ball and things in certain situations, and that's something that we're going to focus on this week a lot. Just some footwork things that I've noticed, and just some basic detail type stuff and some mental stuff that we're going to focus on, just on the routine stuff. So besides that, offensively we're laying down some good bunts. Carly Manny laid down a lot of sacrifice bunts in big situations yesterday and Friday. And then what can you say about that freshman, Zoe Cifuentes? She just continues to get big hit after big hit. Huge double in game 1 yesterday, down 1-0, had 2 runners on. She hits a base hit to right field to give us the tie of the game, and then Ashley Dendas follows up with a double down the left field line. So we literally wore out both foul lines and back-to-back at bats to get that lead, and then Abby followed it up with a triple. So big at bats there in the 7th, but their kid, she was just kind of effectively wild against us yesterday, and it was tough to get some get things going on her. Their third baseman made some really good plays early in the game that took away a couple of extra base opportunities down the left field line. And again, Kingsville played well. I was impressed with the way they played, but I'm really impressed that our kids were able to find a way to scrap and compete and fight and get both of those wins, because those are two games that we could have lost, and we found a way to win both of them.
Coach, the LSC continues to be a tough conference to win each and every year. It really hammers home the importance of winning your home series. You talked about the Sunday's home crowd just a little bit. How important is it that the general buzz and excitement around the program start to get to the point where you're packing the stands, and how much confidence does that give to the girls?
Well, it's been that way for years, but when you're playing Friday, Sunday, sometimes you're stuck with crowds that maybe not quite as big as normal. And honestly, the student body at Angelo State could contribute some more. I'm not gonna lie. Students, I'm calling you out. You need to come out and watch these girls play, and go to baseball games, go to softball games, and we're in 80-degree weather in February and now the beginning of March. That's the perfect time to get out and enjoy some sun and enjoy some softball. So yesterday, though, we had a huge crowd yesterday. It was a lot of fun. It kind of reminded me of the old days, and I went back and watched the video, and it's awesome to hear the roar of that crowd when those big hits come and runs scored, and it definitely plays on the other team. You take the Lubbock Christian series a couple weeks ago, for example, or last weekend on Sunday, we probably had more people there than they did, and that really, as the home team, when you look up and you see a lot of the other team's colors, that can kind of play with you a little bit. So, yeah, it's huge. It's a long season. You're playing a lot of games. You're going to play games where there may be 30 people in the bleachers. So to have those kind of environments and a lot of blue and gold in the bleachers it means a lot for these kids.
Coach, you are one of two schools with more than one pitcher within the top 10 of the conference ERA, and you're also the only school with more than two. Of course, Ashley Dendas with a 2.32 ERA, Andy Ewing with 2.38, and Madison Reeves with 2.48. Talk to me about the confidence that it gives you as a coach, just simply knowing that you have your pick of the litter of, hey, I can go, which one do you want today? Let's make it happen.
Well, the good thing about it is we're trying to not be predictable. We're not, it's not, okay, this girl's always starting game one, this girl's always starting game two. So, we're doing that intentionally to try to keep opponents from trying to figure out, game plan for one pitcher. Hey, here's who you're going to see game one. Here's going to be who's in relief. Here's going to who's the game two starter. So, it's their flexibility is going to be important for us. Ashley and Addie have really thrived in whatever role we've put them in. Maddie has had some bad outings here and there, so she's a freshman, and she's had some great outings, don't get me wrong, and she's still somebody that we're going to go to a lot. But, she's going to have to be a little bit more, high school, she was that ace, she'd go out and throw the game every game. Well, now she may be setting a whole game before getting to pitch and starting game two, and that's something that's new for her and something that she's going to have to get a little bit used to. So yeah, it's just we do have 6 arms in that we got to go to. We're kind of using 3 of them for the most part here, and we gave everybody innings early on, and now it's conference time, and we're going to go with the ones who've been the most dependable for us. And doesn't mean that we're not going to use the others in some certain situations, but we're in a good spot. Ashley's been sharp. Ashley's really been sharp for us. Her numbers got elevated a little bit in Florida on a bad outing where she gave up 5 or 6 runs in only 2 innings, so that kind of boosted her ERA. But she's continually bringing that right back down again to, like you said, being in the low 2s now. So we're in a good spot. They're ready to go at any point when we call their number, and it's going to be vital to have that depth going in, throughout the conference play.
And then you close out your homestand this weekend. taking on UT Tyler and Texas Women's. Obviously, you saw Tyler firsthand in a couple of games in the preseason. Had a little bit of a slow start, but they've only lost once in conference play thus far, and that was to the Texas Women's team you'll be seeing on Sunday. So talk to me about both of those matchups. So what do you anticipate? What do you expect from your opponents?
Well, Tyler obviously, had their Hall of Fame coach retired the day before practices started in January, so that had to be a shock to them and to everybody involved. And they kind of looked like it in the opening weekend tournament that we got to watch them play. You could tell that they just weren't comfortable yet, and a whole new team. They graduated everybody from last year. I'm pretty confident their catcher is the only returner. I know she's the only one that played, maybe the only returner on the whole roster from last year. So 3 of their kids are now at Kingsville. 1 of their kids from last year is now at WT. So a lot of transfers that transferred out as well. So it left them with a whole new roster, but they're still talented. I'm sitting there watching them in that opening weekend going, they still have talent. Is it last year's team? Of course not. That might have been one of the best Division II teams in the history of Division II. But you can tell that they're still kids that can hit, and they were swinging the bat still well. They just weren't able to get people out. So, they're a team that we got to go out and play well. We have to play defense. They're going to have some success offensively, but we got to take advantage when they give us opportunities offensively as well. They have made quite a few errors. Their pitching staff's numbers don't look great, but again, there's some talent there, you can tell. But it's a team that has progressively played better as the season's gone on, as you would expect, and they're starting to figure some stuff out, I'm sure. So we got them here, which is big. So we haven't had them here, I feel like, in a long time. So it's going to be nice to have them here at Meyer Field, and hopefully we can have a huge crowd to come out and hopefully find a way to get 2 of them against them would be big. We do have that 1-game cushion on them right now. A split would still keep that 1 game, but it'd be nice to be able to get both of them and get that 3-game cushion on them.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
I bet.